Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the Terra's edge, watching the blue and green planet grow larger on the main screen. His hands were steady as he gripped the captain's chair, but his mind was racing. This was humanity's first contact with the Kithrans, and everything had to go perfectly. "Captain, we're getting signals from the surface," said Lisa Park from her communications station. Her voice was calm, but Jake could hear the excitement underneath. "They're telling us where to land." Amy Foster, his second-in-command, walked over to stand beside him. "Are you sure about this, Jake? We don't know much about these people." "What? If they're hostile?" Jake looked at the planet below. 3 months ago, human scouts had discovered the Kithrans by accident. The alien race was advanced, with technology that could help humanity explore the galaxy. But they were also warriors, and their society was built around strength and honor. "We need this alliance, Amy," Jake said quietly. "Humanity can't explore space alone. We need friends out here." Dr. Peter Kane looked up from his research station. The tall, thin scientist had been studying Kithran culture for weeks. "From what we've learned, they respect courage and directness. They don't like weakness or lies." "Good thing Jake's not weak," Amy said with a small smile. She had served with Jake for 5 years and trusted him completely. "But their customs are strange. We might offend them without meaning to." Jake nodded. He had read every report about the Kithrans. They were humanoid, but taller and stronger than humans. Their skin was pale blue, and their eyes were silver. They lived in cities carved from stone and metal, and their society was ruled by warrior leaders. "Lisa, send a message to the surface. Tell them Captain Morrison is ready to meet with their leaders." The response came quickly. "Captain, they want you to come down with a small team. They're sending coordinates for a landing site." Jake looked around the bridge. His crew was good, but they were all nervous. This was bigger than any of them had ever dealt with. "Amy, Peter, Lisa, you're with me. The rest of you stay here and monitor everything." An hour later, their small shuttle landed on a flat area outside a massive stone city. The buildings were huge, with tall spires and carved decorations. Everything looked ancient but well-maintained. Jake could see figures moving in the distance. "Stay close," Jake said as they stepped out of the shuttle. "Remember, we're here to make friends, not enemies." The Kithrans who came to meet them were impressive. They were at least 7 feet tall, with muscular builds and pale blue skin. They wore armor that looked like it was made from metal and leather, and they carried weapons that seemed both primitive and advanced. The leader of the group was a woman. She was tall even for a Kithran, with silver hair tied back and scars on her arms that spoke of many battles. Her armor was more decorated than the others, and she carried a spear that gleamed in the sunlight. "I am War Commander Zara Vex," she said in perfect English. Her voice was deep and strong. "You are the humans who wish to speak with us." Jake stepped forward. "I'm Captain Jake Morrison. We're honored to meet you, War Commander. We come in peace, hoping to establish friendship between our peoples." Zara's silver eyes studied him carefully. "Friendship must be earned, human. Your people are new to the stars. What can you offer us?" Peter stepped forward nervously. "We have technology that might interest you. Our computers, our medical knowledge, our exploration techniques." "Technology?" Zara interrupted. "You think we need your machines?" She gestured to the city behind her. "We have survived for thousands of years without your help." Amy tensed beside Jake. This wasn't going well. "We're not here to insult you," she said carefully. "We know the Kithrans are strong and advanced. We just thought we could learn from each other." Zara looked at Amy, then back at Jake. "Learn from each other? Yes, perhaps we could. But first, you must prove you are worthy of our attention." Jake felt the situation getting more tense. "What kind of proof do you need?" "Strength," Zara said simply. "Courage, honor, these are the things that matter to my people. Your words are soft, your manner is weak. How can we trust allies who seem afraid to fight?" "We're not afraid," Jake sighed, stepping closer. "We just prefer to solve problems without violence," Zara laughed, but it wasn't a pleasant sound. "Without violence? Then how do you protect what matters to you?" How do you show that you're serious about your promises? The other Kithrans were watching closely. Jake could see that some of them were getting restless. This meeting was going badly and he wasn't sure how to fix it. War Commander, he said, trying to keep his voice steady. We've traveled across the galaxy to meet you. We've risked everything to be here. Doesn't that show courage? It shows desperation, Zara replied coldly. You need us more than we need you? That makes you weak? Peter and Lisa exchanged worried glances. Amy's hand moved slightly toward her weapon, but Jake shook his head slightly. Starting a fight would ruin everything. We're not weak, Jake said, his voice getting harder. We're practical. We know that working together makes both sides stronger. Working together, Zara repeated. Easy words from someone who has never fought for his life. Have you ever faced death, human? Have you ever had to choose between your life and your principles? Jake thought about the asteroid mining accident 3 years ago, when he had risked his life to save his crew. He thought about the space pirates who had attacked a civilian transport, and how he had fought them off despite being outnumbered. Yes, he said quietly. I have. Zara studied his face. Perhaps. But words are not enough. My people judge by actions, not speeches. The tension in the air was thick. Jake could feel everything slipping away. Months of preparation, humanity's best chance for a strong ally, all falling apart because of cultural misunderstandings. Then what action do you want? Jake asked it. Zara was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice was angry. You humans think you can come here with your soft words and your weak ways, and we will welcome you like old friends. You think we are savages who will be impressed by your technology? You understand nothing about us. That's not, Jake started, but Zara cut him off. You want to be our allies? Then prove it. Without warning, she raised her spear and threw it straight at Jake's chest. Time seemed to slow down. Jake saw the spear spinning through the air toward him. His military training kicked in automatically. His hands came up, and somehow, impossibly, he caught the spear with both hands, stopping it inches from his chest. The silence that followed was complete. Every Kithran in the area stared at Jake in shock. Even Zara's eyes were wide with surprise. By the ancient laws, whispered one of the Kithran elders. He caught the war spear of a commander. Zara's face went pale. No, she breathed. I did not mean ... I was angry. I did not intend ... Jake looked down at the spear in his hands, then back at Zara. What just happened? An old Kithran with white hair stepped forward. You have invoked the soul bond, War Commander. The ancient law is clear. When a war leader throws their spear in challenge, and it is caught rather than dodged, the bond is formed. What does that mean? Amy asked nervously. The elder looked at Jake and Zara with something like awe. It means they are bound together by law and custom until death. They are now spiritual and tactical partners responsible for each other's lives and honor. Jake still held the spear, feeling its weight. This was definitely not what he had planned when he woke up this morning. Jake stood frozen, still holding the spear. The weight of it seemed to grow heavier with each passing second. Around him, the Kithrans were whispering among themselves in their own language. Their voices sounded excited and worried at the same time. Zara stared at him with wide silver eyes. For the first time since they had met, she looked uncertain. This cannot be, she said quietly. I threw the spear in anger, not in ritual. The bond should not exist. The white-haired elder stepped closer. War Commander, the ancient laws do not care about your intentions. The act has been done. Captain Morrison caught your war spear in full view of witnesses. The soul bond is real. Amy grabbed Jake's arm. What exactly does this bond mean? What are we dealing with here? The elder looked at her with serious eyes. I am High Priest Damon Krell. I have studied our laws for 60 years. The soul bond is one of our oldest traditions. It was created to unite enemy clans and end blood feuds. When two warriors become soul bonded, they share everything: victories, defeats, honor, and shame. Peter was frantically typing on his portable computer. Captain, I'm trying to access all the cultural data we have on the Kithrans. This bond thing isn't mentioned in any of our reports. That is because it has not been invoked for over 1,000 years, Damon said. Most of our people know of it only from old stories. But the law is still valid and binding. Jake finally found his voice. What exactly does this bond require us to do? Damon clasped his hands behind his back. You and War Commander Zara are now linked in the eyes of our gods and our people. You must fight together, make decisions together, and protect each other's honor. Neither of you can make major choices without consulting the other. That's impossible, Amy said. Jake has responsibilities to his crew and to humanity. He can't be bound to someone he just met. Zara's face darkened. You think I wanted this either, human? I have led my people for 10 years. I answer to no one except the gods. Now I am tied to a stranger from another world. But you can break this bond, right? Lisa asked hopefully. There must be a way to undo it. Damon shook his head slowly. The soul bond can only be broken by death or by the trial of sundering. Both are dangerous paths. Jake handed the spear back to Zara. Explain the trial of sundering. Another warrior can challenge the bond in single combat. If one of the bonded pair dies in honorable battle, the bond is broken. But both bonded partners must fight together against the challenge. Amy stepped forward, and if Jake refuses to participate in this bond? The priest's expression grew grim. Then he would be declared oathbreaker and enemy of our people. The alliance your people seek would be impossible. More than that, we would be honor-bound to drive you from our space. Jake felt the weight of the situation settling on his shoulders. 3 months of preparation, humanity's hopes for expansion. Into this part of the galaxy, all depending on what he did in the next few minutes. I need time to think, he said. Time is not something we have in abundance, Damon replied. Word of this bond is already spreading through the city. Soon every Kithran on the planet will know. You cannot delay your decision. Zara was quiet for a long moment. Then she looked directly at Jake. I want to speak with you privately, human. Away from your people and mine, Jake nodded. Amy, take the others back to the shuttle. Monitor communications, but don't contact the ship yet. I need to understand what we're dealing with before I make any reports. Amy looked like she wanted to argue, but she recognized the tone in Jake's voice. Be careful, Captain. We don't know enough about these people or their laws. As the humans walked away, Zara led Jake to a quiet area beside a carved stone wall. The other Kithrans gave them space, but Jake could feel their eyes watching from a distance. I want you to know something, Zara said when they were alone. I did not plan this. When I threw my spear, I was testing you. I wanted to see if you would dodge or run or beg for mercy, but I caught it instead. Yes, and now we are both trapped by laws older than our civilizations. She sat down on a stone bench and gestured for him to join her. Tell me about yourself, Jake Morrison. If we are to be bound together, I should know who you are. Jake sat beside her, maintaining a respectful distance. I've been a ship captain for 8 years. Before that, I was a pilot in the Earth Defense Force. I've seen combat, but I prefer to avoid it when possible. You have a family? No wife or children. My parents died when I was young. The crew of the Terra's Edge is my family now. He paused. What about you? Zara stared at the city in the distance. I became war commander when I was 25. My father held the position before me and his father before him. I have dedicated my life to protecting my people and maintaining our traditions. Do you have a family? No. Command does not leave time for such things. I have given everything to my duties. She looked at him. Perhaps that is why the gods allowed this bond to form. Perhaps they think I need to learn something from you humans. Or perhaps I need to learn something from you, Jake said quietly. They sat in silence for a while, watching the Kithrans move through their city. Jake could see that their society was organized and efficient. People moved with purpose, and everyone seemed to know their role. What will happen if we accept this bond? Jake asked. We will need to live and work together, make decisions together. When battles come, we fight side by side. When peace is needed, we negotiate as one voice. And if we refuse? Zara's expression grew dark. Then we will have enemies instead of allies. My people will see your refusal as cowardice and insult. They will demand that I cast you out of our space. Jake thought about the Terra's edge waiting in orbit. He thought about the human colonies that needed protection and resources. He thought about the vast galaxy that humanity was just beginning to explore. There's something else, Zara continued. War Captain Rex Stone has been my rival for years. He believes that I am too willing to consider alliances with other species. If he learns of this bond, he will use it to challenge my leadership. How? He will claim that the bond makes me weak, that I am no longer fit to lead. He may invoke the Trial of Sundering to break the bond and remove me from command. Jake felt a chill. And if he does? Then you and I will have to fight him and his chosen partner, together, to the death. The implications hit Jake like a physical blow. Not only was he potentially bound to this alien woman, but accepting the bond might force him into a battle he wasn't prepared for. I need to know something, he said. If we do this, if we accept the bond, will you treat me as an equal? Or will you expect me to follow your orders because you're the war commander? Zara studied his face. The bond makes us equals in all things. I cannot command you, and you cannot command me. We must agree on everything or we accomplish nothing. That could be a problem. Yes, it could. She stood up and walked to the edge of the stone terrace. But it could also be an opportunity. Your people have skills that mine lack. Our people have strength that yours need. Together we might be more than either of us alone. Jake joined her at the edge. You're willing to try this? I am willing. To honor the ancient laws even when they inconvenience me. The question is whether you are brave enough to do the same. Before Jake could answer, they heard running footsteps. Peter came around the corner, his face pale with worry. Captain, we've got a problem. Rex Stone and about 50 warriors are heading this way. They look angry and they're all armed. Jake could see the group of warriors approaching across the stone plaza. Rex Stone walked at the front, his massive frame covered in battle armor that gleamed in the afternoon sun. The Kithaeron was even taller than Zara, with broad shoulders, and scars across his blue skin that told stories of many fights. War Commander Zara, Rex called out as he got closer. His voice carried across the plaza like thunder. I've heard disturbing news. They say you have bound yourself to an alien through the ancient laws. Zara stepped forward, her hand moving to rest on her sword hilt. What I've done is according to our traditions, Rex. The soul bond was witnessed by High Priest Damon and many others. Rex stopped 20 feet away, his silver eyes moving between Zara and Jake. The soul bond is meant to unite Kithaeron warriors, not to tie our leaders to weak aliens who know nothing of our ways. Careful, Rex, Zara warned. You speak of things you do not understand. Jake moved to stand beside Zara. He could feel the tension in the air like electricity before a storm. The warriors behind Rex were all watching him, their faces showing mixtures of curiosity and contempt. I understand enough, Rex said, his voice getting louder. I understand that you have weakened yourself and our people by binding your fate to this human. How can you lead us when you are tied to someone who has never fought for our world? Peter and Lisa had returned from the shuttle and were standing at the edge of the plaza. Jake could see Amy's hand near her weapon, ready to act if needed. But he knew that any fight here would end their hopes of alliance. High Priest Damon stepped between the two groups. Rex Stone, you know the ancient laws as well as any warrior. The soul bond is sacred and binding. If you wish to challenge it, you must do so properly. Rex smiled, but there was no warmth in it. Then I invoked the right of sundering. I challenged the validity of this bond through trial by combat. Jake felt his stomach drop. This was exactly what Zara had warned him about. What does that mean exactly? Damon looked grave. Rex Stone has the right to challenge the soul bond in combat. According to our laws, you and Zara must fight together against Rex and a partner of his choosing. The combat continues until one pair yields or dies. And if we refuse? Jake asked. Then the bond is declared invalid, and you are marked as cowards. Your people would be banished from our space forever. Rex was still smiling. I choose War Maiden Vera Nash as my partner. He gestured to a tall female warrior who stepped forward from the group. She was lean and dangerous-looking with multiple weapons hanging from her belt. Vera Nash looked at Jake with cold eyes. I accept the challenge, Rex Stone. It will be an honor to rid our people of this shameful bond. Zara moved closer to Jake. Do you accept the challenge, human? Or will you run back to your ship and leave us to clean up the mess you have made? Jake looked at the faces around him. The Kithrans were all watching, waiting to see what he would do. He thought about Amy and his crew, about the humans waiting back on Earth for news of this alliance. He thought about the future of human expansion into the galaxy. I accept, he said quietly. Rex laughed. Good. Then we fight at sunset in the arena of binding? The gods will judge who is worthy. As the warriors walked away, Jake felt a hand on his shoulder. He turned to see Amy standing behind him, her face full of worry. Jake, you can't do this. You don't know how to fight like they do. This is suicide. I don't have a choice, Amy. If we back down now, we lose everything. Peter was scanning his computer frantically. Captain, I'm reading about their combat traditions. These fights are brutal. They use weapons, hand-to-hand combat, anything goes until someone can't continue. Zara was listening to the conversation. Your crew is right to be worried. Rex Stone is one of our finest warriors. He has never lost a challenge fight. What about his partner? Jake asked. Vera Nash is fast and skilled with blades. She prefers to strike quickly and end fights before her opponents can adapt. Lisa looked between them. So what's the plan? There has to be a strategy here. Zara studied Jake carefully. Tell me about your combat training. What weapons do you know? What fighting styles have you learned? Jake thought about his military background. I'm trained in small unit tactics, hand-to-hand combat, and various weapons. I've been in real fights, but nothing like this. Show me, Zara said. We have 4 hours before the fight. I need to see what you can do. They found a quiet training area behind the temple. Zara had brought practice weapons, swords, spears, and shields. Jake picked up a sword and tested its weight. It was heavier than what he was used to, but the balance felt good. Attack me, Zara said, raising her own sword. Jake hesitated. Are you sure? I don't want to hurt you. Zara's eyes flashed. If you hold back against me, you will die against Rex. Attack me as if your life depends on it. Jake took a deep breath and moved forward. He tried a basic attack pattern, but Zara blocked it easily and countered with a strike that stopped inches from his neck. Too slow, she said. Too predictable. Rex will kill you in seconds if you fight like that. They practiced for an hour. Jake was faster than Zara had expected, and he learned quickly. But he could see that she was still much better than him with traditional weapons. Your people fight differently, Zara observed as they rested. You rely on speed and tactics rather than pure strength. We have to. Most of our enemies are stronger than us individually. Interesting. Show me more of your tactics. Jake demonstrated some of the combat moves he had learned in the military. Zara watched carefully, asking questions about why he moved certain ways and when he would use different techniques. These are not honorable fighting methods by our standards, she said finally. But they are effective. Will the arena rules allow us to use them? The rules are simple. Fight until one side cannot continue. How you fight is up to you. As the afternoon wore on, Jake and Zara began to work together. They practiced combination attacks, with Jake using his speed and tactical thinking to set up opportunities for Zara's strength and skill. You are not as weak as I thought, Zara said during another break. But Rex and Vera have been fighting together for years. They know each other's moves perfectly. Then we need to do something they don't expect, Jake said. We need to use our differences as advantages. Amy had been watching the training session. Jake, I've been thinking about this. What if you don't fight like a Kithrin at all? What? If you use human combat techniques? What do you mean? I mean you're not trying to be an honorable warrior. You're trying to win. Use every advantage you have, Zara frowned. That could be seen as dishonorable, but would it be against the rules? Jake asked. No, the rules only specify that the fight continues until one side yields or dies. Jake felt an idea forming. Zara, what if we don't fight like two separate warriors? What if we fight like a single unit with two bodies? I do not understand. In human military tactics, we call it coordinated assault. Instead of each of us fighting our own battle, we work together so closely that our opponents can't predict what we'll do next. Zara's eyes brightened, like a hunting pack. Each member has a role, but they work as one creature. Exactly. Rex and Vera are expecting to fight two individual warriors. If we can move and think as one unit, we might surprise them. They spent the remaining time practicing coordinated movements. Jake would create openings that Zara could exploit, while Zara would use her strength to give Jake opportunities for his faster attacks. As the sun began to set, High Priest Damon came to escort them to the arena. It is time, he said solemnly. The gods will judge the worthiness of your bond. The arena of binding was carved into the side of a mountain. Stone seats rose up in circles around a flat fighting area. Jake estimated that several thousand Ketherans were watching as he and Zara walked onto the arena floor. Rex Stone and Vera Nash were already waiting. They looked confident and ready. Rex carried a massive sword and shield, while Vera had two curved blades that gleamed in the torchlight. Last chance to run, human, Rex called out. I will make your death quick if you yield now. Jake looked at Zara. She nodded slightly. We fight together, she said quietly. Trust me, and I will trust you. The high priest raised his staff. Let the trial begin. May the gods show us who is worthy. The fight was about to start. The arena fell silent as High Priest Damon lowered his staff. In that moment of quiet, Jake could hear his own heartbeat pounding in his ears. Across the stone floor, Rex Stone and Vera Nash moved apart, preparing to attack from different angles. Remember what we practiced, Zara whispered beside him. Move as one. Rex charged first, his massive sword raised high above his head. Jake had expected this. The big warrior wanted to end the fight quickly with overwhelming force. But instead of meeting the attack head-on, Jake rolled to the side while Zara moved in the opposite direction. Rex's sword crashed into the stone where Jake had been standing, sending sparks flying. Before Rex could recover, Zara attacked his exposed flank with her spear. Rex barely managed to bring his shield around in time to block the strike. Meanwhile, Vera Nash had circled around behind them. She moved like a shadow, her twin blades cutting through the air toward Jake's back. But Jake had been listening for her footsteps. At the last second, he spun around and caught her wrist, stopping one blade while deflecting the other with his sword. You are faster than you look, human, Vera hissed as they struggled against each other. Jake didn't waste breath on words. He used his leverage to throw Vera off balance, then backed away quickly to rejoin Zara. The crowd around the arena was cheering, but Jake couldn't tell if they were supporting his team or their opponents. Rex and Vera regrouped, moving closer together. Enough games, Rex shouted. Fight like warriors, not like cowards who run from battle. We fight to win, Jake called back. That's what warriors do. Rex's face darkened with anger. He and Vera began their own coordinated attack, moving in perfect sync from years of fighting together. Rex would swing his heavy sword to force Jake and Zara to dodge, while Vera would strike at the openings he created. The strategy worked. Jake found himself constantly moving, barely staying ahead of Vera's quick blades while trying to avoid Rex's powerful swings. Zara was having similar problems, unable to land any solid hits while dealing with both opponents. They're pushing us apart, Zara panted during a brief pause in the fighting. We need to stay together. Jake nodded, but staying together was easier said than done. Rex and Vera were experienced fighters who knew how to control the flow of battle. Every time Jake and Zara tried to coordinate an attack, their opponents would force them to defend instead. The fight continued for what felt like hours, but was probably only minutes. Jake was getting tired. His sword felt heavier with each swing, and his muscles were starting to ache. Across from him, Rex looked as fresh as when the fight had started. Then Jake made a mistake. He stepped back to avoid one of Vera's strikes, and tripped over a loose stone. As he fell, Vera's blade slashed across his arm, drawing blood. The crowd roared as Jake hit the ground. "Jake!" Zara shouted, but she was too far away to help. Rex was pressing his attack against her, forcing her to give ground. Vera stood over Jake, both blades raised for a killing strike. "This is what happens when weak aliens try to fight real warriors," she said, but Jake wasn't finished. As Vera brought her blades down, he rolled to the side and swept her legs with his sword hilt. Vera crashed to the ground beside him, momentarily stunned. Jake jumped to his feet and looked around the arena. Zara was in trouble. Rex had backed her against the arena wall and was raising his massive sword for a finishing blow. There was no way she could block or dodge in time. Without thinking, Jake sprinted across the arena floor. He wouldn't reach Zara in time to help her block, but maybe he could distract Rex enough to give her a chance. As he ran, he threw his sword. Like a spear, aiming for Rex's back, the sword struck Rex in the shoulder, spinning him around just as he was about to strike Zara. It wasn't a serious wound, but it was enough to ruin his attack. Zara immediately took advantage, driving her spear toward Rex's chest. Rex managed to catch the spear shaft with his free hand, stopping the point inches from his heart. For a moment, the two Kithrans struggled against each other, their weapons locked together. Jake was almost to them when Vera tackled him from behind. They both went down hard, rolling across the stone floor. Vera was on top of him, one blade at his throat. "Your human tricks won't save you now," she snarled. But Jake had learned something important during their practice session. He and Zara didn't have to fight as separate individuals. They could trust each other completely. "Zara, now!" he shouted. Without looking, without hesitation, Zara released her spear and spun around. Her fist caught Vera in the side of the head, knocking the female warrior off Jake and sending her sprawling across the arena floor. Rex, surprised by Zara's sudden move, stumbled backward. Jake rolled away from Vera and grabbed his sword from where it had fallen. When he looked up, he saw Rex and Vera regrouping again, but both of them looked winded and frustrated. "You fight like animals?" Rex spat. "No honor, no discipline." "We fight like partners," Zara replied, moving to stand beside Jake. "Something you would not understand." Jake could see that the tide of the battle was changing. Rex and Vera were still dangerous, but their perfect coordination was breaking down. They were getting angry, making mistakes. "Together," Jake said quietly to Zara. "One more push." They attacked as a unit. Jake went low while Zara went high, their movements perfectly timed. Rex tried to block both attacks but couldn't manage it. Jake's sword cut across his legs while Zara's spear found a gap in his armor. Rex roared in pain and anger, swinging his sword wildly. But his injured leg gave out, and he dropped to one knee. Vera tried to help him, but Jake was already moving to intercept her. The end came quickly. Vera, desperate to save her partner, made a reckless charge at Jake. He sidestepped and used her own momentum to send her crashing into the arena wall. She hit hard and didn't get up. Rex, alone and wounded, looked up at Jake and Zara standing over him. His sword was on the ground, out of reach. For a long moment, the arena was silent except for the sound of heavy breathing. "Yield," Zara said quietly. "The fight is over." Rex's silver eyes burned with hate, but he was a warrior who understood when he was beaten. "I yield," he said through gritted teeth. The crowd erupted in cheers and shouts. Jake couldn't tell if they were celebrating or angry, but High Priest Damon was walking toward them with a smile on his face. "The gods have spoken," Damon announced, his voice carrying across the arena. "The soul bond is valid and blessed. Captain Morrison and War Commander Zara have proven their worthiness through combat." Jake helped Rex to his feet. The big warrior was bleeding from several wounds, but none of them were serious. "You fought well, human," Rex said grudgingly. "Perhaps I was wrong about your people. You fought well too," Jake replied. "I hope we can be allies instead of enemies." Rex looked at him for a long moment, then nodded. "Perhaps time will tell." As they left the arena, Jake felt a strange sensation. It was as if something had changed inside him, like a door had opened in his mind. When he looked at Zara, he could sense her thoughts and feelings in a way that seemed impossible. "Do you feel it too?" Zara asked quietly. "The connection?" "Yes, is this part of the soul bond?" "I think so. The ancient texts speak of bonded pairs who could sense each other's thoughts and intentions. I never believed it was real." They walked through the stone corridors of the temple, followed by Amy, Peter, and Lisa. The human crew members looked relieved but confused by everything that had happened. "So what now?" Amy asked. "Is the alliance secure?" Zara and Jake looked at each other. Through their new connection, Jake could feel that Zara was thinking the same thing he was. The soul bond was just the beginning. They had proven they could work together, but much larger challenges were coming. "Now we prepare," Zara said. "There are threats in the galaxy that neither of our peoples can face alone. The bond has shown us that cooperation makes us stronger." Jake nodded. "We'll need to learn to work together on a larger scale. Our militaries, our technologies, our cultures." But even as they made plans, Jake couldn't shake the feeling that something was watching them from the darkness between the stars, something that would test their new alliance sooner than they expected. 3 days after the trial by combat, Jake stood on the observation deck of the Terra's Edge, watching Kithran ships move through space alongside his own vessel. The alliance was working better than anyone had expected. Human engineers were already sharing technology with Kithran craftsmen, while Kithran warriors were teaching human soldiers new fighting techniques. But the peaceful moment was shattered when Lisa's voice came over the communication system. "Captain Morrison, we're receiving urgent signals from the outer system, multiple ships approaching at high speed." Jake rushed to the bridge, where he found his crew working frantically at their stations. Amy looked up as he entered. "Jake, you need to see this. We've got at least 50 ships coming our way, and they're not responding to our communications." On the main screen, Jake could see the approaching fleet. The ships were massive, dark gray vessels that looked like they were built for war. They moved in perfect formation like a pack of predators hunting prey. "Any idea who they are?" Jake asked. Peter was scanning the ships with every sensor they had. "Captain, I'm not reading any designs that match our databases or the Kithran records. These are completely unknown." Zara's voice came through the communication link from her own ship. "Jake, my people have legends about ships like these. They belong to something called the hegemony. What do you know about them?" "Old stories say they are conquerors who travel from world to world, enslaving or destroying everything they find. Most of our people thought they were myths." Amy was monitoring their communications. "Jake, I'm picking up a transmission from the lead ship. They're broadcasting on all frequencies. Put it through." The main screen flickered and a face appeared that made Jake's blood run cold. The being looked humanoid but wrong somehow, with pale skin and eyes that seemed completely black. When it spoke, its voice was emotionless and mechanical. "I am Admiral Knox Dredd of the Hegemony Fleet. The species in this system will surrender immediately or be destroyed. You have 1 hour to decide." The transmission ended, leaving the bridge in stunned silence. "Well," Amy said finally, that's not good." Jake opened a communication channel to Zara's ship. "War Commander, what are your thoughts?" "My thoughts are that we fight," Zara replied without hesitation. "The Kithrans do not surrender to anyone. They have 50 ships to our 12. Peter pointed out, "and their vessels are larger than anything we have." Jake could feel Zara's emotions through their soul bond connection. She was angry and determined, but also worried. Through their link, he sensed that she was thinking the same thing he was. They needed more information before they could make a plan. "Lisa, try to contact other ships in the area. Anyone who might help us." "Amy, get me a tactical analysis of those hegemony vessels." "Already working on it, Captain," Amy replied. "From what I can tell, they're heavily armed, but they move slowly. Their formation is rigid, like they don't expect much resistance." Zara's voice came through the come again. "Jake, I want to meet with you and your senior staff, my ship or yours." "We'll come to you. It'll be faster." 20 minutes later, Jake, Amy, Peter, and Lisa were aboard Zara's command ship, the Stone Spear. The Kithaeron vessel was impressive, with corridors carved from metal that looked like stone and weapons that seemed both ancient and advanced. Zara met them in her war room, where several other Kithaeron commanders were already gathered. "The situation is worse than we first thought," she said without preamble. "I've been in contact with ships from 3 other worlds in this sector. The hegemony has already conquered 6 planets in the last month. What do they want?" Peter asked. "Slaves and resources," replied one of the Kithaeron commanders, a grizzled veteran named Captain Colward. "They take everything useful and leave the worlds empty." Amy studied the tactical displays. "Do we know anything about their weaknesses?" "Very little," Zara admitted. "But I have been thinking about our fight in the arena. Rex and Vera were skilled warriors, but they lost because they could not adapt to our new way of fighting." "Perhaps the hegemony has the same problem," Jake nodded. "They're used to conquering worlds one at a time, probably against enemies who fight using traditional tactics. They might not be prepared for human and Kithaeron forces working together." "It's worth a try," Amy said, "but we're still outnumbered more than 4-1. Through their soul bond, Jake could sense that Zara was forming a plan. "What are you thinking?" he asked her. "I am thinking that the hegemony expects us to meet them in open battle, ship against ship. What if we do not give them what they expect?" Jake felt a smile forming on his face. "Guerrilla tactics. Hit and run attacks using our superior speed. And coordination, exactly. Human ships are faster than Kithaeron vessels, but our weapons are more powerful. If we work together, we could create strike teams," Amy said, catching on to the idea. "Fast human ships paired with heavy Kithaeron firepower." Peter was already working on his computer. "I can set up communication networks between our ships. Real-time coordination between all our forces." Lisa looked worried. "But what if it doesn't work? What if we lose?" Zara's expression was grim. "Then we die fighting, and hopefully we damage them enough that other worlds will have a better chance." Jake felt the weight of command settling on his shoulders. "How long do we have to prepare?" 43 minutes until their ultimatum expires," Amy reported. "Then we'd better get started." The next hour was a whirlwind of activity. Human and Kithaeron engineers worked together to modify weapons and shields. Pilots from both species practiced coordinated attack patterns. Jake and Zara moved between ships, using their soul bond connection to ensure perfect coordination between the 2 fleets. When the hegemony ships entered weapons range, they found something they hadn't expected. Instead of a traditional battle line, the human and Kithaeron forces were spread out across the system in small mixed groups. "Admiral Dredd," Jake broadcast on all frequencies. "This is Captain Morrison. We reject your ultimatum. If you want this system, you'll have to take it." The response came quickly. "So be it. You will learn the price of defying the hegemony." The hegemony fleet moved forward in their rigid formation, expecting to crush the scattered defenders with overwhelming firepower. But as soon as they committed to their attack, Jake and Zara's plan went into action. Human ships, fast and maneuverable, dotted in and out of the hegemony formation, drawing fire and causing confusion. At the same time, Kithaeron vessels used their heavy weapons to punch holes in the enemy's defenses. The combined tactics created chaos in the hegemony ranks. "They're not adapting," Amy reported from her position coordinating the human ships. "They're still trying to maintain formation even though it's not working." Jake and Zara fought their ships side by side, their soul bond allowing them to coordinate their attacks with perfect timing. When Jake's ship would draw an enemy's attention, Zara would attack from another angle. When Zara needed cover to reload her weapons, Jake would provide it without being asked. The battle raged for hours. The defenders lost 4 ships, but they had destroyed 15 hegemony vessels and damaged many more. More importantly, they had proven that the hegemony could be beaten. Admiral Knox Dredd's image appeared on their screens again, but this time his emotionless expression showed cracks of frustration. "You fight with cowardly tactics. Face us in honorable battle. We fight to win," Jake replied. "If you don't like our tactics, you're free to leave our space." The hegemony fleet began to withdraw, but Jake knew this was just the beginning. "They'll be back with more ships," he said to Zara over their private communication channel. "Yes, but next time we will be ready for them. And we will not be alone." Over the following days, word of the victory spread throughout the sector. Species that had been conquered by the hegemony sent secret messages of support. Others who had been hiding from the hegemony began to emerge, wanting to join the alliance. Jake and Zara found themselves at the center of something much larger than either had imagined. The soul bond that had begun as an accident was becoming the foundation for a new kind of cooperation between different species. The ancient laws spoke of bonds that could unite clans, Zara said as they stood together on the bridge of their new flagship, the Unity. Perhaps they meant something larger than we ever understood. Jake watched as ships from a dozen different worlds joined their growing fleet. Maybe the soul bond was never just about two individuals. Maybe it was about showing that different peoples could work together. And maybe, Zara said with a rare smile, this is just the beginning. In the distance, stars that had once seemed cold and dangerous now held the promise of new alliances and new friends. The galaxy was vast, but humanity and the Kithrans were no longer alone in it. Together they would face whatever challenges the darkness held.